Good morning, everyone. So, we got a single cam turbo Honda on the dyno. I already spoke to the customer about the vehicle. I actually looked it over once, so this won't be our first time looking at it together, but let's go out there. So here we go. Single overhead cam setup, turbo, of course, on Honda S300. So overlooked the setup, spoke to the customer. I told him everything looked fairly decent. He's got a couple leaks, some type of oil underneath, trans leaks, oil leaks. I'm not highly concerned about those. They're very small leaks. The one thing I did tell him, this brand is basically an overseas, like Chinese type brand. It's so hit or miss with these. I told them, down the road it would be nice to see a better name brand for fuel pressure regulator. I told him if he was having issues later on, with air fuels, that is something to look into. Besides that, he couldn't remember the wastegate spring that's inside his wastegate. So he did leave the box in here with the springs, which I'm going to go do the process of elimination and see what spring is in there. So I already did the process of elimination, but this would be the big purple guy. So we got purple. This would be the green one. So we got green. And then we have the black. And we have the red. So we got the black and the red. So that leaves us with the blue and the orange. So if you go up here, if you see the blue and the orange, we are going to be at 14 psi. So I'm going to set boost cut around 17-ish. That gives us about 3 pounds of boost to play with if it wants to boost creep. If it does boost creep, or if it does hit that boost cut, I'll raise it up a little bit more. And if it still wants to hit the boost cut, then we're going to see what's going on. So I'm going to go dial in partial throttle, and then I'll be back after that. So everything's doing good. I dialed in partial throttle, got everything where I wanted it to be, did a wide open throttle pull, and we hit boost cut. So I raised the boost cut to 20 psi, still hit boost cut, and it's not like a slow, it's not like it's creeping, it's pretty quick. He does have the electronic boost controller, the solenoid. It is clicking. You can test that output on Honda S300. I need to overlook the vacuums, and I do see that he has one of the vacuums going to the turbo. Now I will say this, and I do know some companies recommend hooking it up to the turbo. We've had issues like this in the past where having it off of the turbo will cause what we're seeing, and I more so think it's because it cannot get the proper boost reading quick enough. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this vacuum off. Looking at his vacuum lines in his setup, I only have one vacuum line to play with really, and it's this one. This one is going to go to the fuel pressure regulator, which is not ideal to do. But as I said, I don't have many more vacuums to kind of play around with. We have a bigger one here, but that's going to be way too big for the vacuum line. So I want to just see if it's something as simple that's causing the creep and boost, if it's this. So I'm going to take off the air filter so I can get to it, and then I'm going to have to cap that off so we don't have a boost leak, and then I'm going to just run this right over to here and just see if we could if that fixes the issue. If it doesn't fix the issue, then we'll figure out what the next step is. Okay, so I fixed the vacuum, or more so how I wanted it to be. We're getting the vacuum source off the intake. Unfortunately, it still wants to hit boost cut. It's still creeping up. I got a little bit further in the pool this time. So what I ultimately went out there and did is I disconnected the vacuum with the boost controller. Give me 1 second, let me show you. I disconnected the boost control, the solenoid completely, and it's just running off of wastegate right now. The top does not have to be capped off, that can be open. So we got this going directly to a vacuum source as it goes all the way back to there into that T. Still wants to hit boost cut. It's happening a little bit later, but it's still hitting it. Raise it up to 21 PSI, keeping in mind the spring in here is 14, according to the springs that are missing. At this point, it comes to, you know, how much am I going to keep raising boost until something else happens? I'm going to make sure everything is good to go. I'm going to talk to the customer really quickly as well and see what the game plan is if it does not want to fix, if boost cut doesn't want to stop. So if he wants to take it home and try to fix it himself, if we're going to, you know, look into it deeper here. And ultimately when we take it, I mean, if we were to do more work, we're going to want to take off this just to confirm what springs are in here. And ultimately, I was speaking to the customer back and forth. I sent him the tune, a base map, and he sent me some data logs. And everything looked decent in the data logs. Of course, it was just normal driving. Did notice something a little bit weird with the TPS, but I think it was just because he didn't calibrate it in the tune. But there was no discussion about what spring he should have in here for his power goals. And right now for the power goals and where he's at, the spring that's inside here is definitely way too big. If it is a 14-pound spring, by doing the process of elimination, he can probably go to a 7 to a 10-pound spring, and then we can ramp up the boost with the electronic boost solenoid. Not only will we don't need the 14-pound spring. And what I was going to say though is we can't run anything less than a 14 psi if that's what's in here. So in first gear and second gear, if we want to set up boost by gear, well, we can't run any less than 14. We want to try to probably run at least about a 7 or 10. We can have 7 or 8, 9 pounds of boost in first gear. Second gear can ramp up, and that's the joys of boost by gear. It allows you to have traction in those first and second gears. So I'm going to go back here and see what else we got going on maybe. I'm just waiting around right now. Customer's going to come back. He said it's his only car that he has, so he does not want to leave it. I have to start preparing for my next appointment. My recommendation at this point, since we're still hitting boost cut, is to take the wastegate apart. First, let it cool down though, because it is really hot. Take it apart, put a smaller wastegate spring in there, see if boost cut is still happening. After the last pull that I just did, I raised boost cut, as I think I mentioned, 21 PSI. Now we're having an issue with idle surge. Was able to calm down the idle, took the IACV duty cycle, turned it all the way down, which is not normal. So I think something also, I think a vacuum leak also developed after that 21 PSI pull. You know, like I said, I explained to the customer, we can let it cool down, but it's gonna have to come off the dyno. Wouldn't charge him anything additionally. Just trying to help him out in this case. Since it's his only car though, he said that he has to take it. You know, so at that point, I'll try to help him over emails and data logs if that's what if he needs my help at all, to figure out why this thing is boost cutting like it is. That's where we're at right now. So I did forget to mention two things. One, I noticed his IAT sensor is not actually in the intercooler piping. It's just sitting outside of it. So it'd be nice to get it inside the actual piping. The other thing I noticed is the car is only pulling negative 10.3 of vacuum. Now a standard car, almost all Hondas and whatnot, will sit around negative 18 to 20. So this is definitely something also that could be going on. And I have a note on his invoice for him to look into that as well, because it doesn't seem right. It should be a lot lower, closer to like I said, the negative 18, even negative 20-ish. So, yeah. So just to showcase a little bit more on this side, I do say it in a lot of our videos, maybe not every single video, but we are doing some routine maintenance on this Accord. It got a new timing belt, water pump, and all those goodies. We are doing a compression test as well. The customer wanted that to be done. I will add, as I am making sure I'm not in the way here, customer supplied all of the timing component parts. We also did a valve lash, valve adjustment. There's a lot of, I'll say, I understand why, don't get me wrong, but we do get a lot of phone calls or messages that, you know, hey, do you accept outside parts? We do. I know some shops don't, or dealerships don't, and I understand why. The biggest thing is, if you supply your parts and they're the incorrect parts and they cause a delay where we have to shuffle the car out, and let's say we have to put stuff back together, let's say we had to do an oil pan job and we had to drop the subframe and you supplied the wrong oil pan. Well, in order for us to get the car back out, we have to put the subframe back up, we have to push it outside. You will be charged for that. That's the biggest issue that I have, because I have to continuously keep the shop rolling, moving, cars in and out, back and forth. You can't have them stuck on the lift. So we got this one over here, and then we have another one. This is an Accord, and this is getting all 4 new tires. We do sell tires. We are actually, not all the time, so people don't hold me to this, but we're actually a little bit cheaper than Tire Rack. So if you are looking for a tire, we do not ship tires though, that's the one thing. So we're doing all tires on this. We're gonna do a once over on it. When we got in the car, we noticed that the battery was completely dead. The car didn't want to start. So we diagnosed that right now at no cost to him. We're gonna also swap out the battery because the battery is super old. And then we're gonna go from there. And of course, if he needs anything cleaned up as far as grounds go, we'll take care of that as well. So just another thing that a lot of people don't know that we do. We do tires. We don't advertise it a lot because, well, tires are no fun to do. But if you are looking for something, especially this coming racing season, or if you're just looking for general tires for your daily driver, we can take care of you on that. So just 2 little things I also wanted to cover at the end of this video. I know I got a lot of new viewers. Loving all the comments too, so keep that up, and please keep liking and sharing as it is helping the channel grow. So thanks everyone.